Have a nice shisanyama will be the order of the day for most South Africans this long weekend. Shisanyama businesses are a huge part of the township economy. Now, to talk more about this, I'm joined by Bheki Twala, the founder and president of the Township Economic Commission. Bheki, thanks so much for coming on to the show. I don't even know where to start, whether to start with a conversation or trying some of these shisanyama.
Let's have the conversation. Good afternoon, Bheki. Good afternoon to the viewers at home. We're happy to be here. Happy Heritage Day.
Thanks. Happy Heritage Day to you too. So let's talk about the Township Economic Commission. What is it? How did it come about?
Yeah, the Township Economic Commission, it came about, when we were doing the Township Economic Development Act. We were engaging on the Act. We had about, 6 to 7 weeks discussing and having inputs on the Act. Now, we then felt that it will also be very important as well to have a structure that will then, once the Act is signed into law, then we have a structure that will make sure that we then take Township Economy Act and Township Economy to all the 550 townships in the country. But we're starting in Gauteng. The Township Economic Development Act, it's a Gauteng act, but we have a strategy to then nationalize the act. We spoke to, the President, Cyril Ramaphosa, to say we also want to make sure that we lobby with him so that we can lobby also the provinces, so that the act is also in the township economy, you find them in all 9 provinces, in the country.
So what does the act actually serve to do?
Now, the act, it looks at the township economy. We're defining township economy. What is township economy? Because we need to understand what is township economy. And then the act, it talks about, like chapter 6 or chapter 7, they talk about the role of the local government in making sure that, they create a conducive environment, for the township economy. Issues like, land availability, and so that people are able to access land. But it's all about partnership, making sure that we come together. But it also, we've got what we call the Township Economy Partnership Fund. That is part of the Act. Now, but our biggest challenge now is to make sure that we then educate people about the Township Economy Act, or Township Economic Act, for that matter.
I suppose a big part of this also is the buy-in of the locals, the buy-in of the people in the townships. What has their reaction or response been to this?
Yeah, for example, remember, we are township businesses and township business, corporates, and we're township or emerging businesses. We no longer regard ourselves as small businesses anymore. We're removing the small, micro, but we say one of the things that we need to do is the changing of the mindset. If we want to grow the township economy, let's regard ourselves as the township businesses. We're township corporate citizens. That's who we are. Now, we then said, let's use Soweto as the benchmark, as a pilot. We've done now with Soweto. Now we're moving now to the second biggest township in the country, which is Tembisa. The ladies that were here, we had a beautiful event yesterday. Now, what is important is to make sure that we then start, educating our people about the township economy. And it's got, for example, one of the most important critical point with the township economy is the issue of the government spend in the township. Gauteng spend about 32.5 billion rand per annum, and 40% of that amount was spent in the township businesses. But the question is township businesses ready to provide goods and services for government? Basically, that's where we are, because we just want to make sure as well that our businesses in township, they are also ready, they're compliant, make sure that people, they make sure that they're on CSD, make sure that all their books are in order, but we make sure that, the businesses from government, it gets to the township, but not just only the private sector, even the not public sector, but even the private sector as well. We start now engaging with the private sector. We've got the likes of the OBC, assisting us with the events that we're doing. We start thanks to those corporate, companies that are coming on board. Because at the end of the day, you find big businesses in the township, but they are not township economy. They are big businesses that are operating in the township. The Act is now teaching us who is township economy and what is township economy.
So let's talk about these emerging businesses as you've labeled them in the townships. Now, in the previous conversation, as you mentioned with the 2 ladies that are in the business, we talked about understanding business. We talked about customer service, for instance. What are the fundamentals? Well, in fact, there are fundamentals that are critical to sustaining or running a successful business. Do the people in the townships understand this? Do they know how to run businesses and grow businesses?
One of the things that we're addressing as emerging businesses in the township is the whole issue of skills development and training, the enterprise supply development. It's key. But at the end of the day, remember, today we're talking about shisanyama. A shisanyama, it's a business that people, when they go, because remember, it also attracts tourists. Now, it's very important and very critical for people to understand that if you're running a shisanyama in the township, it must be spot on. The services is very important. That is why it's very critical to make sure that businesses, they also understand the customer service. They also understand, proper how to run businesses proper. But if you're looking for investment or you're looking for a sponsorship or a support for your business, you can't get support if your business is, is not in order. Meaning we need to get, make sure that your business is in order so that you're able to attract businesses. But the issue of skills development and training, enterprise supply development is key. That is why we need corporate to come on board, with their CSI programs as well. But remember, we're not about CSI. We're about investment. We're talking about investment. We're talking about trade. We need to make sure that businesses, big businesses that are operating in the township, they start trading with us. We start trading together. Because we can't talk about the AFCFTA, the African Continental Free Trade Area. We can't talk about BRICS. We can't talk about AGOA. We can't talk about the United, General Assembly, the all sustainable goals if we don't trade amongst ourselves. For example, what is critical as well is the businesses in the township to trade among themselves. So that at the end of the day, around the lokshini, 100 before Pumelanga Punk. That's the mission, that's the objective.
So what are those conversations like that you're having in the townships with the local businesses, and are they being accepted?
Yeah, it's very important. Remember, when we talk about the Township Economic Development Act, when you talk about ocean economy, you talk about what you call circular economy, you talk about green economy. I stand to be corrected. I don't think they've got an act. But township economy's got an act. Now, if you've got an act, you've got a platform, or at least your ground has been leveled into a certain space. Yes, there's a lot that still needs to be done. But what is important, and we are very excited about, at least we've got the playing ground, which is the Act. Now, all what we need to do is to understand the Act and make sure that the Act becomes a reality. What I always say, the Act is not for government. The Act is for the economy in the township. We are township economy. Township economy is us. Nothing for township economy without us. Now, we are partnering with government. It's a triple P, concept and conversation that says government come on board, private sector come on board, we come on board as well, because we are the market. When we talk about township economy, we don't want to then start talking about access to market. What market are we talking about? Because we are the market. As a township, we are the market. Township economy contributes 6% of the total GDP. That's a big economy with 550 townships. It's a big economy. It's a market on its own. But what is important as well, Bro Hugo, is to also educate consumers to start buying from ourselves. Make sure that, when you see a product that comes from a kasi, that is produced from a kasi, it's all about, supporting that, because we're saying township economy without us producing what we consume, there's no township economy. We need to start making sure that we produce what we consume.
So coming back to skills development and the private sector, have you started negotiations or conversations with the private sector, particularly those businesses that are operating in the townships, to upskill and assist in the development of young people or people within the townships?
Yeah, no, we started already. We started with the banks, the financial services. We also with the retailers as well. As I said, we had one of the big retail supporting all our events. On Friday and yesterday. We're coming up with amazing product that we'll talk about when we talk about the shisanyama. But we've started to engage. We've got NDA that we've signed also with the banks, whereby I'm not going to mention the bank, but we already signed NDA. We're engaging with that. But we're also working very closely with the Gauteng, Treasury. and getting the support from MEC Mamabulo in terms of making sure that businesses in the township are also on CSD. Because remember, the procurement from Gauteng is with the treasury. But we're doing the roadshow. We started with the roadshow, on Tuesday last week. Now, whereby we're engaging the businesses, just to make them ready to be on the CSD, so that they are able to access, procurement from the government, and both not just only government or private sector, public sector, but also private sector as well.
Bheki, it is Heritage Day. We have this buffet in front of us. Talk to us about what we've got laid out.
Yeah. This is the shisanyama leadership. It goes in different languages. Some they call it shisanyama, some they call it chisanyama. But what happened is that it's one product that we proud ourselves as the township economy. This is the township shisanyama economy. And then people, they try to franchise the shisanyama. But when you go around now in the malls, those shisanyamas are not there anymore. Because at the end of the day, they never understood the concept behind the chisanyama. Because the chisanyama, when you have the chisanyama, is the whole experience. It's not about going to the mall and go buy the meat.
It's about the location as well, isn't it?
It's about the whole, the experience of the ikasi, the warmness of the people, the environment, the street, the vibe in the street. My leader, when you're sitting there waiting for your inyama yako, and you need to see people when they're doing it. Because at the end of the day, it's also a skill, that we need to teach people how to do ishisanyama. But ishisanyama, my leader, you will never have ishisanyama without ipapa. Ipapa is very important to have ipapa. You've got ipapa lapana, and then you've got different kinds of meat. You've got your pork here, and then you've got your chicken, you've got your wors, and you've got your sausages. And you've got your red meat, meaning the chisanyama is a buffet, whereby, you dig where, you feel comfortable, but it's one of the economy at the end of the day that we need to proud ourselves with, most especially as South African, because this is the economy that we need to take to Africa, through the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. We need to take it to BRICS. We need to take it to AGOA. We need also to take it to, the countries that we have relationships and bilateral relationships with.
Now, you've obviously got some condiments there. Are they parts, are they in addition, product development, if you will, to the shisanyama that we're experiencing? The sauces, for instance, the chakalaka and so on.
It's all the value chain, because what is important with the product itself, before you then have the final product of chisanyama, chisanyama doesn't go well without an acha. You need to have an acha, my leader, as part of the dish. Chisanyama with chakalaka, it's the best. But the cherry on top, it's your sauce. And it's also your spices as well. But you'll never have a chisanyama without having, the cold there, and the different types. But what we are saying is that it's the whole value chain. Now, when you look at the sectors that we're developing in the township, your township, lifestyle and tourism economy, your township retail economy, your township, built environment, it's not just only the sectors as well, but we need to look at the value chain, because that's where the money is as well, in the value chain, because it needs to be complete. When we talk about township economy, it must be a complete, setup. So at the end of the day, when you start trading with Africa, when we start trading with BRICS Plus countries, when we start trading with AGOA and also the Western countries, we're transporting the whole product finished. It's a finished product. It's got everything. But also chisanyama, it's already, in US, in also other countries, because as Texas, as TechVest as well, we've got our colleagues that are doing wonderful work, internationally, taking the shisanyama into the global stage, into that stage.
Now, final words around World Tourism Day. That's happening on Wednesday, the 27th of September. How are you as a collective, or is there a collective grouping of chisanyamas that speaks to tourists before they come into South Africa, that, when you touch on the shores of this country, that this is the option, this is an experience that's available to you?
Let's start with AGOA. We're hosting AGOA in November, first week of November. thank God we've managed to get that because it is very important as well to us. We've just hosted BRICS, we've hosted Africa Continental Free Trade Area. But what we are saying, this is the pride that we need to make sure that it becomes part of the tourism space. Because these are products and food, we won't go wrong with food. This is part of the tourism, space. What we need to do, we need to make sure that when we're having people visit us sitting in this summit, we need to take them to the township, experience, whereby they'll find the shisanyama, then they'll then start experiencing South Africa and the warmth of the people in the township, because this is our pride, but we must make sure that it's prepared well and the services as well, so that people, when they go to the shisanyamas, they have fun. But it's part of the tourism, experience. And short left, and what you're doing in terms of promoting, South Africa. This is our food as well.
It certainly is, and we're going to sample that food in a moment as we wrap up. Bheki Twala, founder and president of Township Economic Commission. Appreciate your time, and thank you so much for speaking to us this afternoon.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
A lot more to look forward to in a moment as we take a look at what's happening on the continent.